I would say my music is kind of a wide variety in itself. Somebody asked me earlier what kind of vibe my music is, and I couldn't really tell them. It's just like whatever vibe I'm in. So I'm a moody person, so that could be anything. So, you know.
Welcome to the night section. Now, Jack Harlow has been the talk of the town for quite some time now, and admittedly, I was very late to the party. I mean, I heard about Jack Harlow sort of in passing as I'm scrolling through YouTube and Twitter, but I never really took the time out to actually listen. Silly me thinking he was just going to be another corny rapper, and I won't lie, a lot of it had to do with his appearance. Back in 2017, I first found him on Sway in the Morning, watched about 45 seconds of the interview, and clicked off. I really didn't care. But today, he's actually one of my favorite artists out right now, and what really turned me into a believer was his Tiny Desk and PR performance earlier this year. Watching him perform really had me shocked and surprised. I mean, the breath control, the stage presence, and the confidence he exudes when he's performing is definitely of no rookie. And you can tell he's put in the work. I mean, after all, he's now a Grammy-nominated and a multi-platinum selling artist, and that doesn't just happen by luck. And so the performance inspired me to take a brief dive back into his history and see if we can find out how he's become the Jack Harlow we know today. But before we get into it, please be sure to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification if you'd like to see more content like this. This is Understanding Jack Harlow.
Well, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. Like I said, my name's Jack Harlow. I started recording around 12 or 13. I had a USB mic. I just plugged it into my mom's laptop, and I was just rapping. And then as I got older, I started going to studios in Louisville and just, really trying to get good at this. And towards the end of high school, I started heading down to Atlanta and just trying to branch out. And now I'm down there permanently. I live down there, but it's some Louisville stuff going on.
Now, Jack Harlow was born in Shelbyville, Kentucky on March 13th, 1998, but grew up in Louisville. Jack Harlow decided as early as 11 to 12 years old that he was going to be a rapper. And that was actually thanks to his mother, Maggie, who's been playing hip hop around him since he was a child. Everything from Eminem to Public Enemy, you name it, Jack was already listening. Who would have thought that it would manifest to a successful career? What was also really interesting about his story is finding out that when he decided he wanted to start rapping and become a world-renowned rapper at that, he asked his mother how he'd be able to accomplish it. And her, having read Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Outlier, told him that he needed 10,000 hours of practice. So if at 12 years old he practiced for 4 to 5 hours a day, he'd be a master by 18. And I guess it's fair to say he hit those hours. Whether or not he's the best technical rapper, that's up to you to decide. But that's besides the point, because nonetheless, his hard work has proved to pay off. In 2011, he dropped his first mixtape ever, Extra Credit, under his previous moniker Mr. Harlow, which you could still find on datpiff.com, where you can clearly hear how young he was back then. And in the immediate years to come, he would create a buzz for himself at his school and across town. In 2014, he would drop his second mixtape, Finally Handsome, and it was in 2015 that he would drop his first commercial EP titled The Handsome Harlow, which at the time was dropped under the Sona Blast record label based in Louisville. By this time, Jack Harlow was a hometown superstar and would sell out venues in Louisville like the Mercury Ballroom, Headliners, and the Haymarket Whiskey Bar. And at one point, he actually opened up for Vince Staples. Over the years to come, you can hear Jack refining and finding his sound. You can tell him wanting to be the quote-unquote best rapper ever. Slowly it started to fade into the background as he focused more on the sonics and trying to just make the best music possible. This also signaled his growth as a human being from a boy to a grown man, being more aware of himself and more comfortable within himself. At this point, he had already shed the Mr. Harlow moniker and started going by Jack Harlow as we know him today. His mixtape, which dropped in 2016, titled 18, would mark a transitional period for Harlow. He was about to graduate from high school, and of course, he became an adult. And 2 weeks after graduating high school, he moved out of his parents' house, and it was during this time he would travel back and forth from Louisville to Atlanta to record as well as perform before making the decision to move out there permanently. Unlike many other of the local rappers from Louisville, he knew he didn't just want to be a local star. He knew that he wanted to become internationally known, and the decision to move to Atlanta would help him really find and sculpt his sound, but also his identity of what kind of artist he really wanted to be. This was 2017. That year, he dropped his Gazebo mixtape with singles Routine and Dark Knight, along with the music video. And that video would change his life forever. because that was the video that got DJ Drama's attention.
You know, just his energy, you know what I mean? He put out this record, fucking Dark Knight. He put out Dark Knight, and it was just kind of like, you know, the energy on it was incredible, you know, and I just liked him as a person, honestly, and I just felt like, you know, what I looked for in an artist, you know, he had it all. Like, you know, he had the lyrics, like he had the songs, you know, he had the personality, like, and you know, and he had more than anything, like he had the passion. Like I feel like Jack from very early on, just as I was on my journey, knew that like it wasn't about, you know, if he was gonna make it, it was just about when he was going.
In 2018, it was a done deal, officially signed to DJ Drama and Don Cannon's label, Generation Now, which is under the Atlantic Records umbrella. And it seems as though it has been money for Jack Harlow ever since. He dropped his first project under the label titled Loose, a mixtape of course. In 2019, he would drop another mixtape, Confetti, along with the singles like Ghost and Warsaw, and we even hear a feature with Bryson Tiller on the song Through the Night, who is also a Louisville, Kentucky native. With these last two projects, you could definitely hear Jack Harlow be more comfortable in his pocket in terms of beat selection, as well as his overall flow and cadence on these songs. It's really evident that he focused on the feeling when it came to the making of the music. And it makes sense, as he mentioned in several interviews, that when he got to Atlanta, he started experimenting with going off script, so to speak, and not writing lyrics. Taking a Lil Wayne approach to making music, I guess you can say, and not to mention the use of certain substances. This was also around the time where he transitioned out of wearing his glasses. I'm assuming he probably wears contacts now, or maybe he had laser eye surgery, I'm not too sure. But he was definitely settling into the idea of being a star, which means that he was very aware that the public image was and is important. Now 2020 was when he really blew up, and I mean really blew up. You guys all heard the song What's Poppin', and that song went crazy. This was the lead single to his EP Sweet Action, and the song thrusted him into the mainstream. He had the Lyrical Lemonade video for it, and if you know that a Lyrical Lemonade video has broken many artists. Shout out to Cole Bennett. And not to mention, the song was picked up by TikTok, and once it's hot on TikTok and the kids are listening, it's basically a done deal. And of course, with the help of major remixes of the song in the US as of right now, according to Wikipedia, is 5 times platinum. Now, nearing the end of 2020, Jack Harlow dropped his debut studio album, That's What They All Say, which is now certified gold, which includes songs like What's Poppin' the remix featuring DaBaby, Tory Lanez, and Lil Wayne, as well as Tyler Harrow, which was another smash. So I gave you guys a brief summary on essentially how he came to be today. But what I find particularly interesting about Jack Harlow when trying to understand him and the success he's garnered today, it's how realistic his come up is, for lack of a better term. He's not a Lil Nas X who kind of just blew up from one song, or a Killy where he basically dropped the Kilimanjaro video and blew up, even though I know he's not necessarily mainstream. With Jack Harlow, it was a steady climb. If you can draw it out on a world map, it'd be a circle that started at Louisville and slowly started expanding outward to the entire world. It was a natural progression over time, and it's something you can point back to and say, wow, this success makes sense. He laid one brick at a time, and eventually it led him to the pot of gold. And with a lot of artist success stories that are at least advertised to the media, you get the idea that you need a stroke of luck to get on, which I do agree does play a factor, but Jack Harlow proves that you can also very much create luck on your own by putting in the work for an extended period of time, meaning years. Another thing to point out is his personality. You see, Jack Harlow is not your typical white rapper, and maybe this is a testament to the times that we're in, where music is not about how you look or your background or anything like that. I mean, he doesn't seem like a caricature or an imitation. He's very much himself and comfortable within himself. You can tell that his music comes from the love of it, from the joy of it, and music aside, just as a person, he's a very likable guy. I've watched several interviews at this point, and he's very charismatic and humorous and not afraid to poke fun at himself. Not to mention the gay jokes, where historically we know in hip-hop that's a faux pas. I mean, times have changed and hip-hop is now worldwide, and personally, I have a gut feeling that this guy's gonna be huge. Night Section out.